All right, cool. Well, Happy New Year, everyone. We've got Luis Moyano that's going to share some awesome insight. Luis and I go way back. Um, when did we um when did we start together, Luis? 2018 at some point, right?
2018, Chris came in like 6 months before me, and I was shortly after him. But we developed a good relationship since back then. Got a chance to run together some appointments. It's funny, like the first time I ever went out on appointments, it was Chris. He's like, "Yeah, man, go ahead, get in my car." He wasn't too fond of that at first, but after he got to know me a little bit and we were able to hold good conversation the whole time. I got to see him. But to today, some of the things that I learned in that car ride, I still apply. So thank you for that.
Yeah, man, I learned a lot from you too. We learned together, man. We screwed up, messed up a lot, but we made a lot of money in the process. And dude, you're fearless. I love how you just go on live. You used to do this thing because we were running appointments in person, but when you were driving from appointment to appointment, you would hop on like a Facebook Live and just be like, "Hey guys, just let's do a Q&A," and you would just roll for like a half hour. You're one of those guys that can just talk like off the top of the dome for an hour, and it's good content. So I'm excited to have you on here. But what I was saying earlier, if you guys haven't seen the YouTube video where Luis interviews Michael Warrench, man, that is really awesome. I was smiling the whole time because I love both you guys. You're both awesome, have great personalities, but you dropped a lot of wisdom on there too. I'm looking forward to this. Is going to be a regular thing, right? Why don't you announce it right here to the Hughes Photo World?
That's right, guys. Officially going down every Friday at 12 o'clock, just around this time. It's a very creative name, the MP Bros we came up with. Took hours of planning for that to come together. But yeah, the Mortgage Protection Brothers, every single Friday at 12 o'clock, we're gonna shoot it. For right now, it's just gonna be shoot, edit, post, but I think we're gonna get to a point where we have enough people watching that we can just do it live and we are able to take some calls and bring people along. So I loved how the first one came out. You know, there are some things I want to change. I want to change the platform. I don't want to host it on Google Meet anymore. I want to do a different like podcasting platform. But he's just such, clearly as we all can see, and we get to hear plenty of them. The guy is just so good at passing on wisdom and obviously not just talking the talk, but also walking the walk. And that's the biggest part of it all. The fact that I get the opportunity to share that and listen and learn and pass that along to everybody else, that's exciting to me, man.
Yeah, it's not often you have someone who can write a crap ton of business like that, but then also share their wisdom in a way that comes from humility because he truly is a humble guy, and just teach and break things down for simple lay folk like myself, you know? So I think it's going to be great. He's going to be a great team leader, and I'm happy to have him, look forward to both of you guys sharing. But I want to actually talk about you and ask you. You've written a lot of business, Luis, and this you're new to everyone here on the team. You and I go back, but your first year in 2018, you started kind of late. Let's talk about numbers for a second, just so we can give you some credibility, because I think people see what you're doing now, but I want people to know what you've done in the past and why you're a great leader and why you do the things that you do. Well, so how much did you write your first, full year 2019?
I came in pretty late in 2019. Must have been like October, November. So that
2018 or 2019?
2018. And so those first 3 months were a little bit of learning, and then I tracked it the following year, like fully, and I wanted to be able to replace the income that I was making previously. So I'm like, anything over 100, I'm comfortable. I know I can make this work. And through a lot of trials and tribulations and just changes in the things we were doing, I was able to do that. So I wrote like, I don't know, a little over 200,000, and then after lead expense and everything that we goes into the business and chargebacks, my actual take home was over 100,000. So I was just like, oh, great, man. First goal met. But I can't remember the exact amount that I
So
came
that was
down.
2018, right?
That was 2019.
Oh, that was
The
2019. Gotcha.
2019 full year. First 3 months of 2018, I honestly can't remember. Contracting took a little bit longer than expected, just getting rolling. But I remember my first appointment like it was yesterday. You know, I went to a guy's house, I got no showed. I kept going and went through some other places. They weren't there. And then on my way back, I was just like, can't believe I got no showed like throughout the whole day. This is gonna suck. I'm gonna go back to the same first person that I knocked. And sure enough, they were home. And I ended up writing a policy for him and for his wife on my first day out by myself in the field. Small little tiny house in Fort Lauderdale in the hood, and it was great. It broke me in.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, at some point you were regularly doing what, 30, 35,000 a month?
Yeah, I got to that. I got to that when we started focusing more into the mortgage protection, right? We phased out of the Facebook leads and we started investing into the direct mail drop leads and getting that. But I mean, you had Chris, you had myself, you had damn it, that Steve guy over in the same area, and we'd be like running into each other's business. But I decided to move. And so I started doing my $35,000 every single month. And I was just like, babe, let's get to the West Coast. It's like untapped for me. And that's when I ended up switching IMOs and going to the West Coast and got my lead drops. And over there is the first time I hit the 400,000. And that was in
Hmm.
20 through COVID, I hit it and I hit it again in 2021. And then after that, I shifted a little bit into the Medicare space, and that was cool, just completely different. And it was more out of necessity than out of, so much of a want. Because how do you go from making such great money to switching it to building something new up? But the lead flow in the Port St. Lucie area where I was, it just wasn't the same. Not only were leads super expensive, but at the same time, they were just not available for I don't understand why, Chris. Whenever we buy leads in Florida, my county never has any that come back. So I wonder if that was any of the impact that, happened to me when I moved here. I just couldn't get the leads. So I
Yeah.
went to Medicare, built a pretty good Medicare business, have a good book with that, some residuals come in. That's exciting. But I was just like, where's the place that I've made the most money that I know I enjoy and I can succeed? And that went back to just mortgage protection. So I went back to saying, who do I talk to? Who do I reach out to? And Chris had called me back when he started coming over here first. And that's when I said, all right, let me entertain the option. And so far, it has not failed.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's been great. It's been a little bit of a learning curve, huh? Just shifting completely to telesales. You wrote your first policy in, that's what I was looking up on the computer here. I think August 8th is when you submitted your first policy.
When was the convention?
Yeah, convention was, I don't know. Someone know when the convention was? Type it in the chat.
Oh, September for some reason.
Yeah.
I thought,
Yeah, I forget. Doesn't matter. But since
but the
then,
day before conventions when I when I wrote my first policy, that's why I was asking.
yeah, well, whatever issued, that, let's see. So you wrote $102,000 issue paid. We talk about submit numbers all the time here. Uh, August 9th and 10th is what Paige says. So yeah, that kind of makes sense then that you wrote those policies. You had like a 5K week, right? Coming
Yeah.
into a convention, and those policies took probably a day or two or whatever to issue. So yeah, yeah, you came out of the gates hot. And then, like most agents, you struggled just a little bit. And then, what I love, and this is what where a lot of agents, new agents, and this is the reason I'm speaking of this, a lot of new agents will fall off. They'll maybe write a couple apps and then get into a little bit of a rut. And it's common where as you start to gain more knowledge, you start to share that knowledge with clients and you end up talking way too much. It's a nervous thing. I was talking to a new agent about that yesterday or the day before. And that's one of the things I can definitely attest to. I love what Chris said, Chris Neek on the call today. And this is something I preach a lot, maybe not enough, but those archived videos are invaluable on the homepage of the dash. So when you guys are struggling, you should be reaching out to us in WhatsApp and everything, and then to directly to your mentor for advice. But there's so much good stuff in the calls, and they're all labeled. Like if you want to know how to get better dialing, where we dial in the morning, then go scroll through those archived videos and watch some of the top producers in the company talk about that. Um, Luis, talk to me about the meeting in, of course, the landscapers are here. You know, the one day I'd lead a call here, just that's the way it is, right? Talk
Luckily,
to
we
me
can't
about,
hear them. We can't hear them because of your amazing headphones.
is that, no, can you guys not hear that? It's so loud.
Not at all.
Wow, that's a Jabra. This is a Jabra commercial. Um, so talk to me about the Jacksonville meeting that you just went to a little while ago. I think they're going to have more of these meetings. Um, Pete and Brandon and Chris fly around to different spots, and if you can get to one that's local, and when I say local, I mean like I would drive 4 or 5 hours to these things, and maybe anything further than that, I would fly. And if you can find a cheap like Spirit Airlines flight, if you don't want to drive 3 hours and whatever, that's fine. But you came out fired up about that, and I know you want to build a big business, but you also wrote like you had a really good week after that. And I know a huge part of this is mindset and just belief. And I know that sounds, you know, people want like meat and potatoes on how to get better. But talk to us about the meeting, what you learned there, and why you came out fired up.
For sure, bro. I'm gonna have to back it up a little because you asked me like four questions in that one segment. And so the first thing you spoke about was like a little bit about resiliency, right? And going back and watching those videos. And you talked a little bit about a learning curve that I went through coming over here. And if you guys had the opportunity of watching the podcast here with Mike, we kind of go into that and we go into like keeping your ego in check, and I definitely came in with a little bit of an ego. Like I know mortgage protection. I can sell mortgage protection. I have ideally pat myself in the back. I have a great personality. I can talk well. I'm gonna kill it. It's gonna be the easiest thing going to do some telesales and just, come out the bat swinging 30, 40, $50,000 months. So it was definitely humbling. But we touched on the fact that, winners win, quitters quit, right? As simple as that. So it took so much out of me knowing, dude, I have no plan B. Like, I'm going to make this work or I'm going to make this work. I reached out to Chris constantly. I was just like, bro, something's not clicking. I don't know what it is, but we got to address it. I went back, and for that first sale, I had gone the whole week, no sales, scheduling appointments, only putting in 8 appointments, 6 appointments, 10 appointments a day, dialing from an hour and a half, 2 hours. Like, it's going to be easy. But I came in and I bought nothing but B leads, and out of my B leads I scheduled like, I don't know, 10 appointments for that day, maybe it was 12. And out of nowhere I end up struggling that whole week. But then I sold three houses for, it was 5 or 6 policies, and it was close to like 6 grand for the day. I'm like, this is gonna be awesome. Like, I cannot believe that just happened in one day. If every day is gonna be just like that, let's go. It's gonna be amazing. But one thing that helped me make that shift and that day happen, I went back and I watched Brandon Hall's video on appointment setting, right? And I literally dissected it. I studied it. I wrote it down myself. I repeated it. I went in front of the mirror. I memorized it, made it myself, and then used it. And surprisingly, I booked appointments. It's crazy how that works, right? And so I did that. And it really, really helped. So then beyond that, I wrote Chris, and some of you guys might remember, I said, I'm not gonna go a day now without 15 appointments. I lose money by not having 15 appointments into the calendar. And sure enough, when I don't have an overwhelming amount of appointments, it's just not there. So everyone has a different financial budget to be able to put into leads. Doesn't matter what it is, right? You're buying less expensive leads. They're not bad. They've just been worked. So now it's for you, your opportunity to go and dial as much as you need to, but you got to get the appointments on the books. If you don't have the appointments in the books, it's going to end up suffering. And so that's a big part in the resiliency. Help me out here, Chris. I'm a little lost on my talking. Where
Yeah,
else,
that's okay.
where
I
else did
want
you
to
want me
touch
to go
base
with
on
this?
Yeah, no, I actually wanted to touch base and go back to what you just said, because I think that's so important. And a lot of new agents don't do that, even though they're told to. But you went listen to Brandon Hall dial, and it's easy just to say that where, you know, you just went and watched a video of Brandon Hall dialing, but you didn't just do that. You said you took notes. And one of the things I used to do is watching these YouTube videos, because that's all we had back in the day is like 3 or 4 top producers. Now we have so many, but I would watch these YouTube videos and I would pause and I would take notes and then I would play and I would rewind and I would dissect it, every single thing, to figure out how can I do this. And I didn't, like you, have a plan B. So I was like, I got to make this work for real financial reasons. I needed to make this work. And I knew that there was potential, meaning I knew that other agents were making $35,000, $40,000 per month. And I'm like, okay, what do I need to do? Do the whole Tony Robbins thing, replicate model success, find who's excellent at doing something, and just model what they're doing. Copycat, right? We get rewarded for cheating here. And that's basically what you did. I'm like, dude, I can give you some advice, but go watch Brandon Hall's video and dissect that thing. And you did, because you're a professional. And that's what I would implore everyone who's new here to do, is act like a professional if you want to make professional type money. That's,
Yeah.
like, no one here should be making less than $20,000 a month. Nobody, if you're doing this full time. So how do you do that? You can't give up. You're going to have doubts. I wrote that the other day. Like, all of us have, Luis, you have doubts. I have doubts. I'm like, dude, are we ever going to grow? Are we ever going to grow this team to, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 a month? And some people are like, well, I just want to, be able to pay my rent or pay my mortgage. But you got to believe that if other people are doing it, you can do it. And we had an agent the other day who spent $150, $200 on leads, didn't make any sales on it. And it's like, well, do you throw in the towel, or do you say, all right, I need to reach out. I need to keep a positive mind frame here. I need to figure out what's going on. They tell me to record my calls. Did I really do that? Or do I want to go back to what I was doing before, which is probably not something that is, it might be enough to get by, but we all have these goals and dreams to, make more money, or else you wouldn't be here. You want to be in business for yourself. But being a professional and doing what you just did, because if you didn't do that, Luis, we might not be talking to you right now.
Yeah.
You came up with this, okay, I want to book 15 appointments a day. And you learned to do that. But then we had another struggle, and I want to touch on this. You were booking the appointments, but they weren't showing up. So go into that part and how you fix that.
Yeah. So I feel like it's still a work in progress. There's still some tweaking that I need to be able to do to make that ratio be better. And that all comes back to joining the calls and listening to what the top producers are saying. I'm trying to make sure that I say 3 different times the time that I want to be calling them, just like Mike taught on his call last week. Every single time I close it down, I'm saying it at least 3 times on the window time frame that I'm calling you. I'm making sure that the number that I'm calling them on is the best number and they know my number to look up on, right? So you want to tie it down as good as possible, but it's always going to be a little bit of a learning curve. It's going to be an additional extra step that you're going to take to dissect, like Chris said, what's working for you and what's not working for you. And if it's not working for you, why is it not? And how can you make it work? It's pretty crazy. Chris, this camera thing you have going on, man, it's pretty awesome. How it follows you around, it zooms right into you when
It's
you're
probably
paying
annoying. I know
attention.
Brad was
It's
like, Brad
crazy.
hates it. He's like, he gets seasick. I went in there for Brad to try to figure out how to shut the moving camera off, but then I gave up. So is what
Oh,
it
that's
is.
what you were doing just now? That's
No, not
hilarious.
just now. No. What I'm doing now is I want to see if all the videos online. There was a period of time where the videos were not archived past December 6th. Has anyone gone in to see if they've uploaded any of the videos towards the end of December? Because that would be awesome if we could watch Michael Warren's video that we did last week. There's plenty of videos in there regardless, but let's one of the other things that I had talked about talked about asking you is the Jacksonville meeting.
Yeah, the Jacksonville meeting was awesome. So we had a pretty packed house. Bobby Bridges was there. We had Pete Mejia from American Amicable there. He got to talk a little bit. Brandon wasn't there. He was working on some things, but Pete was there. It ended up being Ron McCormick that came up, and Efron was there, and I was there. But it ended up us three and uh, two
Mina,
two other
Mina.
people that just kind of joined and started helping and passing on knowledge to the newer agents that were there. Two things sparked me on there, right? Although I was the one doing a lot of the talking, it helped me see the crowd. And for people like yourself and myself that have been doing this for a while, we have high expectations, high goals, and we know that the opportunity of making 30, $40,000 a month is here. But I forget what it was like to be 20 something years old, having, my mortgage or my rent be less than like $1,000 a month. And out of like five, $6,000, I'm living comfortably. I wish I could remember those days. They're not there for me anymore. But there are so many people that fit into that criteria. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I get so hung up on this, 20, 30, $40,000 months when I want to be able to embrace and help everyone from the bottom up, right? And how if it takes $5,000, what's it going to take for us to have you write those $5,000 so that you're comfortable? And maybe next month we can take it into Lawrence, Jason, just mute yourself. We can take it into the next step, right? Writing you, having you write 7,500 and then a $10,000 a month, but really just kind of work their way up and be able to realize the potential into this without having to compete and have to look at the other people on how much they're making. Because I feel like the moment we do that and the moment that we start comparing ourselves to others, that's when you're setting yourself up for failure. I'm not Michael Warren. I'm not Brandon Hall. You know, Am I competitive? Oh my God, you better believe I am. But I reach out, and I think that it's so important for anyone new coming in to be able to do that. I've spoken to Miranda. I think you're here, Miranda. Good to have you back. I've spoken to Brad Inman. I've spoken to Brandon Hall. I've spoken to Michael Warren. I reach out to anyone that I feel I can learn from. And so if I can ever be that for anybody else, guys, please feel free to reach out. So that was part of what I received out of that, right? That we can honestly help so many people improve their situation with the opportunity that we have here. Why did I come here? It was because of the system. It was because of the leads. It is because of the culture. It is just a little bit different here, and that's awesome. That's exciting. And so I want to take that now, and my biggest walk away is just like, you know what? I feel so confident in my shoes in this space that I want to be able to pass that on, and I want to take it on to grow the team, to be able to bring those newer agents. And I want to put as much content out there as possible to be able to not just help, but also grow. Part of the reason why Michael and I are doing that podcast together is going to be free for anyone doing mortgage protection for them to be able to find it on social media. And if they ever want to reach out, whether to him or to me, we're both happy that they did in one way or another. So I'm going to put that out there for many of you guys. If you guys would like to jump on camera with us and just shoot some content and put it out there and then use that content and blast it out to your social medias, please do. Because at the end of the day, that's kind of the new wave, right? Like they're talking about TikTok, and Efron is having so much success at bringing agents with that. Go for it. You know, Chris, remember when they were telling us like, hey, build early, that you regret not, right? But what were your
Yes.
thoughts when you first heard that?
Like everybody else, man, I just want, well, I mean, I was in such a hole that I just wanted to focus on personal production. It's kind of like telling someone who's broke to start investing in a 401k. I'm like, okay, 401k, dude, I gotta put food on the table. I'm like worried about my next meal, not about like, 30 years from now. But the cool thing is the investment in this is, in building a team is a time investment. It can be a money investment. I've spent a lot of money building up a team over the years, but at Unitrust we have enough resources. And like when you got like a personality like yours, Luis, and anyone can have that, you just got to step outside of your shell. You can build a nice team with using social media. Just build a following and just share and everything. And if it were someone like me who doesn't go on, I would be piggybacking off of you, Luis. I would literally just say, hey man, how can I get on a podcast with you? Have you interview me and just start build up a following, and you really got to step
100%.
out,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, well, I mean, 100%. You know, I can remember the amount of times when we were at different shops that I've been asked to just come on and just share and just join a podcast. Dude, when I moved to Port St. Lucie, some guy's just like, "Hey, I heard about you. Do you mind if I interview you?" I was just like, "Yeah, it's awesome. Why not?" You know? So like if you look me up, there's just random podcasts out there that other people have hosted that have just asked me to just come on and pass on about me and what I do and how I do it and how we help people, which is it's so cool, right? And the same thing can be done here. So like if you feel like you're ready for that and you want to branch out more, start with that. Get yourself a little name recognition, you know, volunteer to get interviewed or to have a little camera time. But beyond that, start sharing. Start because you know quiet mouths don't get fed, right? Start sharing. The more you're able to talk about it, the more you're able to put it into the atmosphere, the more that it's going to come back to you, right? My wife is super like universal and like law of attraction and everything comes back to me. And I go away from it, but I always believe in it and I come back to it too. But it's so true. So like 2025 is my growth year. This is my year to get uh, I want to I want 100 agents downline wise, not direct, but downline wise by the end of the year. So I said it here. I'm putting it out there. I want to be able to grow this team and help so many people develop themselves to have a successful career in insurance, which has been a blessing for me. It's been a blessing for Chris, and it's been a blessing for so many people of you guys that are here and watching. We offer this at no cost to help, to build, to motivate, to energize. And I know we just came from the call that we were on, which are fantastic. And I'm not saying don't be on it, but we only got 27 people on here. Like, there's no reason why this room shouldn't be blowing up every single training. Everybody needs to be on here. Everybody needs to be sharing and communicating the Zoom room, Brad does a great job at being in there and being interactive. But unless it's Ken or me or maybe Robert in there, kind of pitching in and talking every now and then, and June, you know, it's kind of quiet. So I almost feel like that room needs to be unmuted. And if you're maybe going through an application, then you go ahead and mute yourself. But we got to be able to work together because the more interaction we're able to have, the more we can ask questions, the more that we can succeed, the more that we can pick up from other agents. And I do believe that like any of the top producers that within the team that we have so many, it'd be great to just have you guys kind of just pitching, just mute it out when the you know socials are coming in or when the banking info's coming out. But other than that, let it be heard because the more that we work together, the more that we all grow.
You know, sometimes it's just one thing that you hear that can make a difference. And if you guys are camera on in the Zoom for the dials and in the afternoon for selling, you're going to hear Brad unmute. You're going to hear Luis unmute and Quentin and others that are selling. You'll hear them unmute and you may just pick up something that will help you, like flip a switch that will make you, you know, thousands of dollars and could potentially make you hundreds of thousands of dollars in a year, like you're going to do this year, Luis. Let's talk about your personal goals. You just talked professionally, like business wise, and team agency owner wise, how many agents you want. You want 100 agents. That's amazing. I believe you can do that. Um, Talk to me about your personal production goals for this year.
It's so funny because I haven't even like thought about it and how much can I personally do myself. Because I'm not interested into how much I can do myself. I'm interested into how much I can do as a team, right? So it's nuts. I don't have one agent producing right now, but I haven't even thought about my personal goals because they're irrelevant. My goals are to grow a large agency. My goals are to help. My goals are to be able to have other people do this. You know, I was thinking about it the moment I'm able to get some agents. I think the first goal is breaking that $100,000 team production. Once we're able to get there, I'll probably step down a little bit from personal production to maybe just like 3 days a week and focus on doubling down training mentoring and having the team grow a little bit faster and then I don't know maybe at $300,000 I'm not personally producing anymore but I'm really just focusing on growing the team but anything you put the work towards to it's gonna grow it's
You're
gonna
talking
grow
monthly, so $100,000 month team
yeah
production, and you
totally
know $300,000 month team
yeah
production.
until then I
Awesome.
don't want to fall shy. I came in saying I want to sell $15,000 a week. That's my goal. I want to prove myself that I can do it. Okay. Well, I've I was close last week. I hit 14,000 and change. I've done it one other week, so I can do it. It hasn't been consistent, but I can do it. I want to make sure I don't fall south of $10,000 and be like consistent like Mr. Jocelyn, and be that Mr. Consistency and just have that come. But I want to put the focus into growing the team. So it'll be a little bit of a time consumption for me because I got to do a lot, right? It's a lot on my plate until I can afford to offset it and put it into different places. Um, and so for right now, 10K a week minimum is what I want to personally do. But as we go and as we grow my personal production, I want to see it go down because I want to see me pouring back into the team.
What's your best week here so far?
I think it was 16 and change.
16,000. For the new agents on here, we got a few new people on here, and some people I think that probably are not satisfied. Well, hopefully, not hopefully, but probably most people on here are not satisfied. Doesn't mean they're not happy. You can be happy and just not satisfied where you're at, and want to have bigger goals. But for those new people or those struggling, three tips starting off the year that you can give them if they're need either a reset or if they're just getting going.
Okay. So, three tips for people that are just getting going or just not happy with exactly where they're at. First one is what I had to use on myself, right? Straight ego check. You're in a place where you want to grow better, so put yourself aside, take your feelings, crumble them, throw them away, and write down a consistency plan, exactly what it's going to look like. I finally put it down on paper for myself every morning from 5 to 6. I kind of journal. I buy leads if I need to buy leads. I'm going back on an SLO, but I buy my leads really early on. I'll take 15 minutes and do a little journaling and just take some time for myself. That's 5 to 6. 6 to 7, I want to exercise. I want to make sure I'm back in the gym. I want to push some heavy weights. I want to make sure I'm sweating. From 7 to 8, take a quick shower, spend a little time with the kids before they go off to school. And then at 8, I'm dialing, right? I want to get done dialing from anywhere before 11. Join the call, do some recruiting, have some lunch during those 2 hours. Then from 1 to 6, I'm really trying to cut down my time just like Mike is, right? And just do it from 1 to 6 and not really go beyond that. So I can have that family time. My kids are little, they're only going to be this little for so long. So I want to be able to enjoy them. I want to be able to spend some time with my wife and do that. But my schedule, you guys can tell it's exactly, noted down on what's happening at what time and when I'm going to be jumping off the phone and what I'm going to be doing. So get yourself a schedule, get yourself your ego checked, and if you're not working towards something at all times, then make sure that you're doing so. So that's number one. Number two, have a plan in place as far as what your expend is going to be, right? Because I've worked all the leads. I've worked some D's, some C's, some B's, and some A's. I think B leads are like the biggest steal out there, right? The A leads, you only have them for 10 days and then they go to the next person when there's people like possibly Mike or maybe Brad that only call them one time. And if they didn't reach them, like I may or may not reach out to you again, but it's going to somebody else. So it might be like a brand new lead that hasn't been touched or hasn't been able to be closed by somebody else where we come from or from what we're used to, an 11-day-old lead, that is brand new, you know? And so work your leads, adjust your budget. But at the end of the day, setting appointments on A's is the easiest thing. You're able to get them on as long as you get them on the phone, like the ratio say 8 out of 10 is they're gonna book. So work your budget down, but always focus on being able to increase it to set your markers so where you're making more, you're also investing more into yourself and work your way up to those A leads because it's gonna help you be able to close more. So that'll be my second one. And my third one, this is kind of like my constant that I'm going back to for 2025, that whole winners win, quitters quit. You have the option. You have the decision. At the end of the day, you can only point that finger back at yourself. The resources are there. If you're not happy with the way it's working out, find out, digging into yourself on what's happening, what's missing, and then seek out the answers, seek out the response. It's hard to do it yourself and look back through videos and find it. But no one's gonna spoon feed you. It's gonna take you working hard. right? No one's gonna say, hey, go to this video that was recorded in September of 2023 and go back to minute 49 and you're gonna see exactly the answer you're looking for. It's gonna take you looking for it. And as you're looking for it, you're gonna be able to gain more. You're gonna be able to feed yourself more. You're gonna be able to power through it more. So you get to decide, are you gonna win or are you gonna quit? Whatever you decide is cool, right? Because if you're here to quit, like give it up. It's not going to be for you. But if you're here to win, you're going to put in no matter what, and you're going to go through the whole thing. So whichever one you decide, it's okay. You're going to have to live with your own choice. Just know that there's a lot of people here that are no better than you in any way possible, that have come from all shapes of life, that have chosen to win. And so you choose wisely for yourself. And those are
I
my
love
three.
that. I love that, dude. Can you close it out with a bonus? You gave us three awesome ones. Give us a bonus on setting expectations and managing emotions for the new agents on here. How do you manage the emotions of spending some money on leads, not having immediate success, and what would you do? Would you track data? Would you what do you, how do you handle that?
Yeah, I'll leave it off just while everyone else is on here. If you guys want to put anything on the comments right now, if maybe anything that you think we should be touching on while we're here, because we are jumping off, go ahead and do it now. But one last one. I mean, I just gave three. I'm kind of drawing, I'm running a little dry here. Um, but if I was to say one more thing, definitely track everything you do. Brad does a great job at tracking. I do a good job at tracking. I want to make sure exactly what I'm investing, how many leads I'm getting, which leads I'm closing on, what are my ratios, how much I'm going through, how many appointments I'm booking. Literally just find out exactly where your time is going and where you're wasting time and where you're succeeding with it. And so we always said, what was it? If you don't track, you don't succeed, right? Whatever you track is what you're able to measure and it's what's able to grow. So the more that you are able to keep those numbers down and you can literally see what you're doing, you're gonna be able to see what you need to work on. And it's gonna give you the data, right? That's what this company is so big on, right? Like Unit Trust is really big on data. And that's what's so cool
Yeah.
because anytime that we type in the sales that we make, they know the ratios. We're all buying leads from one source. How cool is that? And that's just nuts, right? Like, and I'm gonna go off somewhere else here, but how cool is it or how nuts is it that we literally all buy leads from one source? It used to be completely different. It used to be like, where can we find the hottest leads, the best leads? Who can have it more affordable? Who can have them more ready for us to be able to get into? Not here. Here, we're all playing in the same exact level field. And so we buy our leads from the same place. And with that, we all follow the same exact script. And everything gets tracked out of every single agent. So we know that the percentages on the calls are because not someone's coming up with them, but it's coming because we track the data and we see exactly what the success rate is for other people. We track the data and we see exactly what the closing ratio is. In Jacksonville, Pete had said right now we're seeing about a 7-1 from investment to submit. And while I was waiting there, kind of just waiting to talk, I started doing my numbers, and my numbers were exactly 7.21% to the amount of leads that I had invested, which was just crazy. So, whenever we're done here, you guys look through your numbers, and if you're close to 7-1, you'll see that it's kind of there. And if you're above that, you're doing great. If you're below that, then there's a tracking measure for you to look into what things you could possibly work on to improve upon. So that's it, brother. I like you. You fed me that one. Track to succeed.
Absolutely, dude. Thank you very much, guys. This is the same link that we stay on for dialing in the morning, same link for selling in the afternoon. You are free to stay on here. I'm going to stop the recording now.